We are continuing today, Meretz Hashem, in Parak Dalid Mishna Gimel, Chapter 4, the third Mishnah. Hu haya omer, he used to say, Al tihi vaz l'chol adam. So literally, do not be dismissive or scornful of any person. Va'al tihi maflig l'chol davar. And do not be, again, dismissive or disdainful of anything. She'in l'cha adam she'in lo shah, for there is no person who doesn't have his moment, his hour. Ve'in l'cha davar she'in lo makom, and there is no thing that doesn't have its place. So the Rabbi Yehuda explains, and this is really profound. What does it mean? First of all, it's just interesting that the Mishnah will need to tell me not to be disdainful or scornful or negative towards any person or to be dismissive of anything, which tells you the nature of people is just to sometimes look down on others. Whether it's because I feel like I'm better than someone else, or I'm able to go ahead and see certain negative traits within a person, it's almost as if like it's natural and reflexive sometimes to look down on other people. And that's why the Mishnah has to come along and say, don't do that. Don't do that. So the Rabbeinu Yonah explains to her something very interesting. He says, don't embarrass any person. So in other words, the Mishnah is just telling you, is be nice. Be nice. You know, sometimes there are people we know we have to be nice to because we need them. And people we have to be respectful to because we need them. And then there are people that sometimes we look at in life and we're like, I don't need you. I don't need you now. I'm never going to need you. And as such, I feel perhaps empowered to take certain liberties with that individual because taking those liberties is never going to bite me back. It's never going to hurt me. So the first thing the Mishnah says is, be a mensch to all people. Treat people with kindness. Treat people with respect. Now the Mishnah says, by the way, why? She'in l'cha adam she'in lo shah. That ultimately, again, that every person has his moment. In other words, the people you think you don't need now, or the people you think who are unimportant now, may one day be important, and one day you may need them. So be careful how you interact with all people at all times, for you never know when you're going to need someone. So on one hand, this is a very utilitarian message. Be careful with how you behave. Be careful with how you act. Because again, even though you think you're on top of the world now and you don't need this particular individual, life could change so quickly and circumstances could change so quickly. So be careful how you speak to him. Be careful how you interact with the other. On a utilitarian level, because you never know, maybe one day you'll need that person. And just on a menschlichkeit level, because a person should act like a mensch towards all people, whether you see them as a peer, as an equal or not. Never be dismissive, never be hurtful of any individual. Similarly, alti maflig l'chol davar. So here it says, so the way that Rabbi Yonah understands this over here, so the straight translation is, don't be dismissive of anything. Because again, the same idea, everything in this world has its place and has a purpose. The Rabbi Yonah understands over here, davar to mean dibur, speech. And the Rabbi Yonah understands what it means is like this. Don't just say words because you think you can. His lashon is va'al taflig divarecha lomar rachel kushiyucha lavo elai Hachzek b'dibur zeh. Don't think that you could just say something. Okay, it's not gonna hurt me, right? I could say whatever I want with impunity, right? I could say whatever I want, and it's not going to have a negative effect. In other words, this is actually a pretty profound musar for the world in which we live, especially with social media, where people often just say things without weighing the impact and the effect that their words have. A person shouldn't think, alti is literally, alti maflig l'chol davar. Don't just think you could say whatever you want. Why not? He says, ve'in l'cha davar she'in lo makom. The idea is, words matter. And what we say matters. And even if you think right now, the particular thing you're going to say doesn't really mean all that much, just like every person needs to matter, everything we say needs to matter as well. And what a way to live. Imagine for a moment if before we spoke, we weighed our words. Right? Whether it's a meaningful conversation or just a casual conversation I'm having someone. Imagine for a moment that before I spoke, I thought about what is the potential impact of these words, both in the positive and the negative. And if we measured what we said before we said it, how much better our lives would be, how much better the world would be. So 2 lessons. Number 1, treat every person with respect on a utilitarian level because one day you may need them, but on a menschlichkeit level because it's the right thing to do. Be careful with what you say. Every word that is spoken creates a new reality. Sometimes we say things thinking they won't create realities, but in fact that's simply untrue. Every word creates a reality, and therefore be careful what passes through your lips. Right, we'll stop over here for today. Shkoyach.